Let's get started with portal manipulation. Another extremely popular and useful ability that allows you to skip the journey and get straight to the destination. Users of Pylikinesis can create, shape, and manipulate portals. Now, at this point in our expansive history of popular culture, sci-fi, and/or fantasy, if you will, we all know or at least have heard of what portals are and what they can or possibly could do. But for those who don't know, or just like hearing me say this part, a portal, in its simplest of terms, or by what's found on Google, gotta love Google, is a doorway, gate, or other entrance, especially a large or imposing one that connects two separate locations. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't need to get too deep into what portals actually do, especially if you read, watched, or consumed any kind of fantastical media, but yeah, a user of this power can create, shape, and manipulate portals, allowing them to not only control the properties of the portal, such as portal size, composition, and properties, but it also allows them to manipulate space and, to a lesser extent, time, as the main use for this power is to teleport. Whether it's done by connecting two separate points in space and time or by connecting different realities, the common denominator is that if it's separated by a significant distance or if access to whatever you're trying to reach is blocked for whatever reason, this power can be used to eliminate that issue. But as an extremely popular and pretty overpowered ability, if you think about it, there really isn't a whole lot that this power can't do. I mean, if you're too lazy to get up and grab that remote, just portal it on over. If you're too tired to walk to the store, portal yourself to the store or portal the store items to yourself. You can even use this power to hit that like and subscribe button. So make me jealous because I really want superpowers by using this power that you have apparently to hit that like and subscribe button. Because not only do I wish I had superpowers, I also wish I could warp more nerd and nerdettes over here so they can enjoy these videos the way you guys do. But while you're at it too, also hit that share button so random people can wake up and find this video just popped into their feed. So if you guys are ready to skip through space and cut people in half, then grab what you need and let's go ahead and get this video started because I'm pretty eager to. Okay, so the history of portals aren't as complicated as you guys may think. It's actually fairly simple if you choose to look at it that way. It took me a while to, understand that so I could get this video to you guys, but I got to figure it out. So let's do that. Let's break it down and look at it simply. Just bear with me here. Let's start with the simple hole, a hollow opening in any kind of structure that allows anything to pass through it. Obviously, this is found any and everywhere in nature, from rocks and trees, the ground, even in more complex organic organisms like animals. This takes the form of, your mouth, eyes, ears, multiple sphincters in and out of the body, or even the tiniest holes on your body, aka your pores, which allow light or air or certain type of liquids to pass through. But not just that, there's also the concept of a doorway, something that's found everywhere. As you guys know, this is an entrance that leads you to a new threshold. And like I said earlier, this is pretty much found everywhere, from doorless entryways of houses or buildings to see-through planes of glass attached to small openings that allow light and air to pass through, even to literal portholes, the kind found on ships that also allow air and light to pass through. I mean, that's pretty simple and relatable, right? So it would make sense that this concept would lead to the more fantastical depictions of portals as supernatural doorways or entrances. I mean, this has been around in human cultures for millennia, pretty obviously. So various cultures would have their own versions of doorways that lead to other dimensions or planes of existence. And through that, they believe supernatural entities use these doorways to pass through into our world and vice versa. Well, in most cases. So typically, liminal beings, or deities in some cases, beings that exist on the border of something, would be associated with this concept in the fantastical view of it, in mythology around the world. These beings are typically casted as free spirits of their respective pantheon or belief system, being someone who usually doesn't have to answer to anyone but themselves, or maybe the natural order of existence. Maybe. But in our more modern era, the fairly recent concept of science fiction took the fantasy and made it, well, more logical in a sense by adding concepts such as bending space, warping space, cutting space, or erasing space, which would allow one to connect two separate regions together. This is where you get things like black holes, wormholes, hyperspace travel, whatever they want to say. I told you guys this concept would have an easy origin. Well, a sort of simple origin like most things do. All you really got to do is just connect it to everyday or more relatable things and you can understand it. But yeah, doorways and entrances, simple as that. Now, because this is a fictional concept that does not exist as we understand it in popular culture, our understanding of how we believe it would work is not backed by anything provable. So, as I'm writing and or publishing the video, we might find out in the meantime that real portals are something else entirely. Like, they turn you into cats or a blob that smells like fish, instead of leading you from one location to another location. But as we understand or can predict about the known universe, we do believe that it would operate as a gateway or entrance that connects two distinct locations, dimensions, or even realities. Like I said, there's no way to prove this, but that's just what we think it is at the moment. The concept as we know it, though, came about as a household term more or less in the later 19th century, where H.G. Wells' 1895 novel, The Time Machine, great book by the way, had the protagonist invent a time machine that allowed them to travel through time by creating a gateway in space and time to different points in history. He traveled to the past and then he traveled to the future, different things like that. From there, literary works such as The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien featured magical elven doors that allowed characters to travel between dimensions, which was based off of old mythology. English, I believe, all the way to our modernist era, where notable works such as Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which is a generational sci-fi space opera, Arthur C. Clarke's A Space Odyssey, which is about exploring the evolutionary process of humans throughout history via their use of technology, and TV shows like Stargate and Star Trek, which use technology, aka portals, as a form of transportation. Maybe. But the main takeaway from the previously mentioned, in most if not all early works, is that portals were used as plot devices to explore the themes of space-time manipulation, parallel universes, and alternate realities. So symbolically, portals represent the concept of transcending boundaries and limitations, freedom, exploration, the limitless pursuit of knowledge, venture, and interconnectedness. It signifies the ability to defy the constraints of physical reality and explore new possibilities beyond the conventional perception of space and time. That's why we prescribe other concepts that we interact with in our everyday world as portals. And here I go being nerdy again. But remember the porthole earlier? Get it? Portholes sound like portals. Oh my God. I mean, that can't be a coincidence, right? Right? But anyway, yes, portals are an opening in something that normally isn't open that allows various other mediums to pass through. Remember what I said earlier, light, air, water? And in some cases, people, if you're determined enough. Heck, even a mirror or a camera to view a location or a remote location can be viewed as a portal of some sort. You guys want another example? For those of you who've been to college or have had to put any kind of information or application in our modern day and age, it's usually done online. The website domain itself is typically referred to as a portal because it leads to somewhere else. I mean, even as a simple concept, it really exists everywhere. We don't even know we're doing it as humans. But getting back into this concept as a superpower, portals are heavily related to other powers such as teleportation, which in itself is related to spatial manipulation, and spatial manipulation is heavily or very closely related to reality warping. But as a power that has numerous ways that it can be portrayed, the concept of a portal is a staple in fiction nowadays. It can exist in many different forms. Normally, you guys would think of the magical swirling doorway of energy example, and while that is one of the main ways it can and often does get portrayed in the modern era, also examples of a portal being created by advanced technology or by a certain type of machinery, aka technological teleportation device like a portal gun or something like that. There's also a time machine, which stereotypically travels through time, but oftentimes leaves the user in the same physical location. They're just in a different period of time. Another way a portal could be made is through magic, creating the swirly portal or fancy decorative gateway, which could lead to a magical land or some kind of spirit world or some kind of dark fantasy horror world. These usually come with conditions that allow certain individuals to come in and exclude certain individuals from escaping. It may also be a form of a naturally occurring gateway of eldritch origin that leads to another dimension or universe like I mentioned before, but in this example, the rules don't operate the way they normally would, and instead you're stepping into a whole new universe where the laws of reality are not even close to what they would be for ours, and up is down, left is blue, green is west or something like that. But moving on from there are also examples of characters that can create portals by physically cutting or ripping space open. I don't know how you would do that, but for those who could do as such, this would classify them as a dimensional cutter. There are also examples of you drifting way too close to a wormhole or a black hole in space and get transported somewhere else in space and time. We don't know if this is how it really works, but hey, it can't hurt, it's fiction. Shoot, there are even sillier or more lighthearted examples of everyday items like books, paintings, pictures, which can be described as a window into another world, which then ironically tends to act like a portal to another world. This will typically transport the recipient to a magical land inside the context of the painting or storybook or piece of art or whatever you want to call it. You can even find extremely silly examples like a Scooby-Doo chase scene where, they enter a door and then end up coming outside of another door, or come out of someone's clothes, or a floorboard sometimes, they enter a door and then come out of somebody's clothes. It's weird. So obviously, with a portal operating the way it does, people with portal powers can sometimes weaponize them via a portal cut, which bypasses all defenses and really can't be detected until they're right on top of the target, which makes this application extremely horrifying and overpowered. But portals in general, whether created with powers or machinery, tend to conserve the momentum of whatever is entered inside or through it, meaning the speedy thing goes in and the same speedy thing comes out at the same angle and the same speed. Basically like walking through one door to another door. You're not going to change direction suddenly. Unfortunately, this can give this power a bit of a predictability factor, but in some mediums, there are examples where it can come out even faster due to being charged with a magical energy that the portal generates or something like that. But no matter what technobabble is thrown around or used to describe this power, very rarely will two authors treat them precisely in the same manner because it doesn't exist in our real world, so that leaves a lot of room for interpretation. But no matter how or where or why this power is used, when a character opens the door, portal, gateway, and crosses it, the end-all be-all goal is that they go from one location to another, which will allow them to end up in a room, an entirely different place, or somewhere completely separate from their initial location. And if they're lucky enough, they might even be able to see where their destination is from the outside, looking in. Stats for a user of this power can range, but it's typical to see medium to high levels of attack power because of the unblockable cutting power portals initially have, which is simple separation. One of the highest levels of speeds out of all superpowers, as the main goal of a portal is to get you somewhere quickly. And on top of that, some portals can even give you a speed boost, like I said earlier. Medium to high levels of defense, as if one had a way to, you could just warp away all incoming danger. And a good variety of ways that this power can be used and or applied or be portrayed as. So in following the same theme, I guess there are no common colors associated with portals, but since portals allow you to teleport, and we've done a video on teleportation already, check that out, I guess you could go with white, gold, or even blue, as these colors usually symbolize advancement or something ethereal in nature, supernatural. Or you could just call it down the middle and use any kind of color that denotes otherworldliness. But like I said before, it's typically portrayed as a swirling circular doorway made of energy, or an entryway made of light, or some kind of fancy door made of magic. But these are just standard stereotypical examples, as it can really look like anything as long as it leads the user from one place to another. You have a portal. But unfortunately, that's where we're going to have to end part 1 of this amazing power. Yeah, I cut you guys off. Just like a portal. Don't worry though, part 2 is coming out very soon, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for your support. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.